fun begins.
How's it going?
Hello.
Well,
Greetings, young Jedi.
hello there.
What's up, everyone? Hybrid Toy Reviews here, and today we are taking a look at the Star Wars The Black Series. Asajj Ventress in her bounty hunter gear. Now, I'm gonna be honest, as a kid watching the Clone Wars, seeing her depart the Separatists, leave the Sith behind, and become a bounty hunter was not an expectation for this character early on in the series. And as a collector, aged nearly 28 years old now, I would also tell you that this costume for Ventress is a figure that I never thought we would get in the figure line. We've got her traditional Clone Wars outfit on the shelf over there. I figured that was where we were going to leave it, unless she becomes big in some future media. So it's really cool seeing the Black Series, pick something that's a little bit of a deeper cut. It's a really cool outfit for Ventress. I really like how this figure looks. She's very visually striking just from in the box, so I'm excited about this one. Again, was never asking for it, but when I saw it, I was like, oh wait. So let's take a look at it. Let's go. And here is Ventress in the packaging. We will take a quick look. It is your standard Black Series box featuring the logo above a big window showing her and her saber accessories and helmet off. Very nice. It is in the yellow backdrop, so it says Star Wars Clone Wars in a yellow stripe. Number 21, Asajj Ventress Bounty Hunter, Warning 4+, Hasbro. Over here features some cool art of her wearing her helmet. It's got some Coruscant underworld tunnel behind her looking neat, and then her name at the bottom. This side features wraparound window, wraparound stripe, and Clone Wars or Black Series logo. My bad. Up top, you got your Black Series logo again, a zoom into that side art, and then a bio about her in many languages. Pause and read whichever language best applies to you. She's number 21 in the Clone Wars lineup. Has a bunch of legal hoopla, Disney, Hasbro, more legal hoopla, and a barcode underneath. If you've seen one Hasbro box, you've seen them all. So let's go ahead and open her up and take a look at what's going on. So here's Ventress out of the packaging. Let's go ahead and start by taking a look at her accessories, and then we will get into the full review. So she comes with her two lightsabers, which appear to be reused from the prior figure, which makes sense. The hilts seem to be in a slightly blue-gray plastic. They're kind of neat looking. I do like it. They have the black stripes painted around them. They feature these very nice red blades. They are semi-transparent, but they just look good. It's a good color red for a red lightsaber. The hilts feature the pegs in the pommels, which allow them to plug in together and create the double-bladed saber look. I'm going to be honest, I am not ever going to pose her doing anything with the double-bladed saber. And I guess someone remind me, it's been a minute since I've rewatched early seasons of Clone Wars, but I remember in the Clone Wars movie, she did the double-bladed saber, and then Obi-Wan cut it in half across the pommels, so it was still two functional, lightsabers. Did she ever do it again after that? Did she ever fix that? So I guess I'm just wondering, but she has the removable blades going on too, and then each saber has a peg on the inside of the hilt, and it's just favoring, they're mirrored. Now, my initial impressions seeing the photos, I thought like, man, they're supposed to go on the front, looking at the side art, but she does feature pegs on the sides of the hips, which do allow her to store the sabers, and if memory serves, she would stow these a mitter up, and that is how they look when she is wearing them. They are on there. They are secure. They are not too hard to take off if you need to take them off, but they stow nicely. And then she comes with her helmet. Now, the helmet, there's something just a little bit off about it to me. It looks very big. You put it next to her head and you're like, yep, her head definitely fits in there, with room to spare. It just looks a little wide, whereas in my memory it was a little bit more of a squeeze it. It was almost more of like a slender fit, but of course it needs to be removable. It is in a gunmetal gray plastic with some nice yellow paint over the top in varying designs over the brow, and then the eye slots, and then there's yellow going around back there, and there is a function. So right now I have it set to where it is fully head enclosing. And it does just slip on. If you want to make her wear it, if you want to make her look like a Funko Pop wearing that big old helmet, you can just slide it on. But it does hinge open, where you can have her wearing it, like frictioned onto the back of her head with the faceplate up, when she was, capturing Ahsoka. She flipped up the faceplate of the helmet. It's just a little bit fiddly, and I did at one point while operating this hinge have it pop apart on me, and it was hard to pop back together. So I think I'm just going to permanently leave it in head covering mode and just slip it on from the top if I'm ever going to have her wear it, and just not really worry about the function. So it was a good idea. I just don't think in execution it worked so well. Now, taking a look at this likeness, oh my gosh, that is Ventress. This is very, very striking. I remember I found her the other day at a Meijer here in Northeast Ohio, and I just remember taking the figure off the shelf, looking at it, and just going like, wow. I mean, this is just very striking. The tattoos are very purple looking. They're very bold. Everything about this looks like it's like, like when you highlight some text in Microsoft Word and click that bold effect. Like everything is just very vibrant. Those blue eyes are just blowing right through your soul. I mean, they're, holy crap. I mean, what a great, great head sculpt. This, I get it. It's like 10 days into January. It's too early to start saying it might be the figure of the year, but like she might be on that list just for this head sculpt alone. Just very striking. And then the tattoos do the squiggly circle things around the back, and yeah, just very, very, very nice head sculpt. And then working down from there, her outfit is kind of like a bodysuit with some layers. So you see like the black bodysuit going on, and then she has like the two fabric flaps that cross over the chest. She has her shoulder pad, which looks nice. It has a snake pattern on it. I don't know if that's like a Dathomirian snake or, there's got to be some cultural relevance to it. But there's like a shoulder plate, that goes like over the top, and then the pad is actually on a band around the joint, which, like your stormtroopers and clone troopers, so it'll go with the arm when you rotate it. Her arms, it's like the black sleeves with some wraps, and then she's got some leather lace-up bracers, looking really nice. This one's got stitching on the front. This one's got bands around it. That's interesting. She's got some armor plates on the sides of her hips, as mentioned, the straps, which then have the peg holes for the sabers. Around back, she has a couple small pouches. She does not carry much while on assignment. She has a pouch on each side thigh, and there are thigh plates that are just kind of a flat blue instead of this like bluey chrome, blue chrome on the shoulder pad and hip plates. She's got some wraps going around the knees, and then she has some very nice looking armor plates on the front of the shins. They come up over the knee a little bit, so, when you articulate, there is that kind of like flap in the front, which is good. It looks like good, overall mass covering, armor. So I do like how the costume turned out, and it's just got a lot of really good looking fine details in it. It's a costume that I never really looked at too closely, but now that I see it in action figure form, it really feels like Hasbro didn't miss any kind of detail on it, which is really nice to see. So, to run through some articulation, she has a lot of the modern articulation you would expect from a modern figure. She does feature the double ball neck system, which allows her to look that far up, and then about that far down, she gets side to side and all the pivot you need for all that Ventress attitude. Her arms come up to a T-pose. There is a good deep butterfly joint in there. And then, as mentioned, the arms can 360 at the shoulder, and the shoulder pad will travel with it however far it needs to continue to be out of the way. The elbows go a little bit past 90 degrees, which is nice to see. Swivel at the elbow, and then the wrists are on ball joints, so you can rotate them 360, you can hinge them in and out, up and down. These ball jointed wrists have like a lot of range on them. Sometimes they don't. These ones do. I also like how her left hand is in a little bit of a forced gesturing pose. You can have her, you aren't going to bother me, do a little mind trick, subscribe to Hybrid Toy Reviews, little mind trick going on. It looks like a push, sort of. It looks like a choke, sort of. Just kind of depends on how you position the hand overall. And then she features a mid-torso ball joint, which is a good place to get some twist, some pivot. She can crunch that far forward, which is not a lot. She can go back. She has that arch action going on. And then she can do the splits about that far. I feel like it could go a little further, but maybe these side plates, the costume get a little in the way there. They can go straight forward, pretty far back, further back than most Black Series can. There's no thigh swivel, but the thigh does pivot on the ball joint in there a little bit. And then there's single jointed knees that go well past 90 and then swivel at the knee. And then the feet can point that far down, which is really, really good. That far forward, which is pretty nice. And there's a forward-facing pin for rocker, allowing you to get her into some decently wide stances with both feet flat on the ground. So here's the new Ventress next to a number of other related characters, and she is the shortest one here, which I feel scales pretty well. She's not a 6-foot-tall person. And I did want to compare her on her own, just bringing her up forward, to the prior released Clone Wars Ventress, which I genuinely thought was a good figure when it came out, and I still do. It's a couple years old, but I don't think of it in any way as being bad. But when you bring these head sculpts up close, I mean, again, just look at the intensity in the eyes there. This one, it's like an earlier photo reel, so it's just a little bit softer. And I think there's just no doubt that this new Ventress definitely has a much better likeness. I generally like this new one a whole lot more and do consider an upgrade, even if it's not as iconic an outfit for the character. So at the end of the day, what do I think of the Black Series Ventress in Bounty Hunter gear? I think this figure is excellent. Like I said in the beginning, not on my wish list. Never thought to put this on my wish list. It just wasn't high on the radar. But getting it and posing it and just seeing how good that likeness is, holy wow. Just what a great figure. It's on figures like this that Hasbro really comes out of the woodwork sometimes and just shows their ability. Something where, you weren't asking for it, they just kind of sprinkle it in, and then they do just phenomenal when they're doing it. I love this figure. I highly recommend it. If you have any kind of a Clone Wars shelf going on in your collection, before this figure got announced, I never would have said that she would be on my list of mandatory figures for a Clone Wars shelf. But I think that if you're going to have one Ventress on your shelf, while the other one might be more iconic, and for what it's worth, the one that I have is the original run, not the rerun that they recently did, so maybe they cleaned up the face print on her a little bit. And if that's the case, then maybe get the other one. But this one just generally looks a lot better. So I like this one very much. Of course, I'm going to have both on my shelf, but just needed to air it out here. I mean, this figure is just phenomenal. So track her down, add her to the collection. You've got my vote of confidence that you're going to like this one. So that's all I got to say this time. Thanks a bunch for watching. It means a lot that you did. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that in a video stuff. I'm going to go work on something else now. So until next time, may the Force be with each and every one of you, and have a good day.